Such a strange week in Orange Land here in the U.S. All kinds of weird stuff's going on. But let's talk about something that's going on up north in Canada. Now, you've heard of the tar sands, the largest oil sands extraction production anywhere in the world. What they do is they take oil-soaked sand, so it's about 80% sand, dirt, and organic matter, and they cook it in hot water, which then the oil floats to the top along with the sticks and things, and they process this material until it's actually can flow through a pipeline. This takes a huge amount of energy to heat all this oil and sand and to transport it down to the U.S. It'll go into these refineries that can actually do something with this horrible oil. It's hard to say whether producing tar sands actually has any net gain or not. Whether you use just as much oil heating up that oil to separate the sand and rocks and things out of the oil. That's one of the main complaints about the tar sands, is that it's just useless. All you're doing is making some money for some local billionaires and tearing up your forests in the far north in Canada. Now let's go over to the board. I'll show you something even worse. So now that the Orange Man's in office, TransCanada and other Canadian pipe-laying companies are planning on 2 new pipelines. One going from the tar sands over to the Keystone pipeline, which then will feed all that horrible tar sands all the way down into the U.S. to where it will be refined down in Louisiana. And there's other planned pipelines from this company, this Enbridge. They will build line 3, which will cross from Canada's tar sands into the U.S. as well. So let's look at some history of these of TransCanada first of all. Just in the last 7 years, it has suffered 373 oil spills from the pipes they have already out. The biggest complaint about the Keystone pipeline is that when that breaks, it can pollute so much of the U.S.'s fresh water. But yes, there is more. Let's just look at these 2 companies' history and their pipelines. TransCanada has had 13 oil spills since 2010. Enbridge has had 147 spills of hazardous liquids, including oil and other flammable and deadly chemicals that are put through these pipelines. Out of 147 spills, a total of 40,794 barrels has spilled from these pipelines. Okay, this is on a completely different subject, and it is politics, so if you want to go ahead and click it off, do it. I wanted to put up some information that I'm hearing, and this is just what I'm reading on chat and some message boards. Last week we had a terrible right-wing white nationalist here in the U.S. caused 3 deaths and skirmishes in Virginia. But what the horrible thing is that today is the memorial of the woman who was killed by being run over by the right-winger, alt-right, neo-Nazi. His following are saying that they're going to protest at the funeral. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Oh, mushy, we can't let that happen. That can't be allowed to have happen after such a terrible thing happened. And now the Orange Man is saying that there's an alt-left. Well, there really isn't an alt-left. And what is the alt-left? Can anybody tell me what the alt-left is? You know, this putting labels on everybody is just killing our nation. You know, if you're going to belong to an organization, then you can call yourself that, such as white racist or neo-Nazis. That is an organization. But I've never heard of an alt-left organization. What do they do? What do they stand for? I would think they would stand for universal health care, education from first grade up to 4 years of college, clean water, clean energy, helping people that can't help themselves. That would be the alt-left. I wonder what they're calling the alt-left. But anyway, I'll keep you informed if I hear anything more. And if you hear anything on that, let me know. And let me know what you think about these new pipelines coming across from Canada. There's a bunch of them in the works, far more than what I've talked about here. It's not a good situation. Jeez. So, as the U.S. continues to crumble into just awfulness, thank you so much for the people that stood up for the state of Virginia and the U.S. against the alt-right. The alt-right lost 2 battles, the Civil War here in the U.S. and World War II, the Nazis. Both of them lost. Why? If Germany doesn't have any Hitler statues all over their country, there's a reason. So we shouldn't have Yankee statues all over the U.S. either. It doesn't make any sense. Put them in museums. They're fine there. Have all the kind of museums you want. But in public places, these statues do not belong. Alright guys, that's just my own personal thoughts. And I appreciate all your ups and your downs and your new subscribers. And continue to tune in to Pink Mario for the unusual, the stuff you don't hear about too often. And until next time.